Welcome, everyone. So you're here because you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of the golf swing, right?
hmm
Not just looking for, quick band-aids, but really understanding the mechanics deep down.
That's the goal.
Well, today, we're channeling that desire, doing a real deep dive into something pretty cutting edge.
Yeah, we're talking advanced sensor technology.
And it's giving us these incredible insights into something really fundamental, your grip pressure.
Exactly. Forget just trying to feel it. We're looking at hard data now.
Okay.
And this is thanks to a system called Sensor Edge. Our info, it comes from a really detailed chat with the folks behind this tech,
The ones developing it.
the very ones. And they're also working with the Golf Academy 360 grade,
Hmm.
powered by Sportsbox AI 3D.
Ah, yes.
So this isn't just theory. They're like actively building and using these really sophisticated sensors out in the real world.
And the backstory is kind of neat, too, isn't it? Something about a beeping grip.
Yeah, apparently there was this concept kicking around, a grip that would beep if you squeezed it too hard.
Simple idea.
Right. But that sparked something with the Sensor Edge team. It led to this whole collaboration to really, get under the hood.
Or under the grip, maybe.
Exactly. To really see what's happening with pressure, like through the whole swing.
So our mission today, it's about exploring what this advanced tech really shows us, about how we hold the club.
Precisely. At every single stage. And maybe more importantly, why understanding that could actually be a game changer for your performance.
Okay, let's dig into the tech itself then. When you say advanced sensors on a golf club, what does that actually look like? Sounds complex.
Well, think of it like specially engineered clubs,
Yeah.
okay, with sensors built right into the grip itself.
Built in, not just stuck on.
Nope, built right in. And these clubs, they connect to a data capture system.
Real time.
Real-time feedback shows exactly how much pressure each hand is applying moment by moment. It's a live, super detailed picture.
Wow. So definitely not just guessing if you're too tight or too loose.
Worlds apart. And these aren't generic sensors either.
No.
Not at all. The company we talked to, they design, develop, and even assemble these sensor edge components in-house.
Ah, so they have full control.
Total control. Over accuracy, the data they collect, all of it. And that grip pressure sensor is, well, it's pretty sophisticated.
Thought so.
It measures pressure from your lead hand and your trail hand separately.
Both hands. Independently.
In this way.
All happening within, fractions of a second. It shows how your hands might be doing different things, which is, well, it's eye-opening.
Understanding that interplay, not just treating them as one unit.
Exactly. It can unlock this whole new level of control you maybe didn't even realize was possible.
But measuring that from both hands during something as fast as a golf swing, that sounds incredibly difficult.
Oh, it is. Definitely challenging. To get useful data from that kind of speed, they use what's called high-resolution sampling.
Yeah, and really precise synchronization. Think of it like a super slow-mo camera, but just for the pressure in your hands.
Capturing every tiny little fluctuation.
Every tiny change, yeah, even in the blink of an eye. And that level of detail is what makes the data so valuable.
So you can really break down the swing.
Totally. You can look at key segments, your setup at address, the takeaway, the top of the backswing transition.
Downswing, impact.
All the way through impact and the release, yeah.
And looking at the pressure readings at each specific point. What does that tell you practically about your swing?
Well, that detailed breakdown helps you pinpoint exactly where you might be creating, say, unnecessary tension.
Like gripping too tight somewhere.
Right, or maybe not releasing the pressure effectively as you swing through the ball. It's about finding those inefficiencies in how you're, connected to the club.
And this isn't just some lab experiment, is it? You
Yeah.
said coaches and players are already using this stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Many high-level players, their coaches, they get it. They understand your hands are the primary contact point.
The only contact point. Really.
Exactly. That kinetic chain everyone talks about in the golf swing.
Yeah.
How your body parts work together.
Yeah, the sequence.
Well, your grip is where it all starts. So understanding how you're holding and controlling that connection throughout that whole chain, it's just fundamental.
Right. Fundamental to getting the most out of your swing.
You got it.
It definitely sounds like a massive leap from, those old training grips that beeped if you squeezed too hard. Those always felt a bit basic.
They were pretty basic, yeah. Those earlier attempts, or some of the simpler training aids, they gave very, rudimentary feedback.
On or off, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Too tight or not tight enough. This sensor edge system, it gives you a really comprehensive, nuanced picture.
Yeah.
Pressure changes through the entire swing.
So the idea's been around, but the tech wasn't ready.
Exactly. The early prototypes, the hardware was just too bulky. Power sources were a nightmare.
Impractical.
Totally impractical.
Hmm.
It's really only thanks to recent advances in like materials, battery tech, computing power, that stuff, that something this sophisticated is even viable now.
That makes sense. The technology had to catch up.
Right. To provide feedback that's actually meaningful and detailed.
So what's next? What does the future look like for this kind of tech? Are we all going to have wires coming off our clubs?
Probably not for your weekend round. The wired system offers like the highest accuracy for deep research and analysis,
Okay.
but they are actively working on a wireless version. That's a big focus.
Wireless. That sounds more usable.
Definitely. The goal is for that next generation to connect directly to, say, a tablet, making it way easier for coaches and players to use anywhere.
On the range, indoors.
In simulators, yeah.
Mhm.
For golfers like you looking for that data-driven improvement, a wireless system would be much simpler to integrate into practice.
Yeah, much more user-friendly. And what about the bigger picture? Is this just going to be for the pros and elite players?
Well, the long-term vision is definitely to make this kind of detailed feedback more accessible.
Bring the costs down.
Exactly. They know the current cost is, a barrier for a lot of golfers, so they're looking at ways to reduce production costs.
Hoping for a more affordable version down the line?
That's the aim. They even mentioned plans for, like, a website where you could customize and order instrumented clubs directly.
Wow, really? Order your own sensor club.
Yeah, pretty ambitious, right? But it would be fantastic for golfers wanting that data without, breaking the bank.
That would be very cool. And I think I heard something about pressure plates, too. Is that related?
Yes, that's another really exciting development area for them.
What's the idea there?
They're working on a portable pressure plate system. It's designed to measure how your weight is distributed and the pressure your feet exert during the swing.
Like ground forces.
Exactly. But the goal is to provide high-quality data that's much more affordable than those, super expensive ground force analysis systems you see.
Making that kind of biomechanical info more accessible, too.
That's the plan. Give more golfers access to that valuable feedback.
Okay, so we've got the tech, the data capture. Now let's get to the heart of it. How does grip pressure actually impact the swing and, the results?
Okay, yeah, this is where it gets really interesting for your own game. Like we said, your hands are the only direct link to the club.
Right.
So the pressure you apply, it creates ripples through the entire swing motion.
And consistency matters.
Hugely. Consistent grip pressure often translates directly to more consistent overall performance if your pressure is all over the place during the swing.
Inconsistent results.
You bet. It can mess with crucial things like your club face angle at impact, your swing path, even how freely your wrists can move.
Okay, so if I tend to, death grip the club, squeeze it too tight, what's probably happening?
Well, over-gripping, especially coming into impact, that can really tense up your wrists. It restricts their natural hinging motion, and that prevents the club from squaring up naturally through the ball, which is, a huge reason for shots going offline.
Yeah, I can feel that tension just thinking about it. Restricts movement.
Exactly that feeling. That's what can happen in your swing if you grip too hard.
Makes a lot of sense, sadly, with some of my shots.
Hmm.
So what about the pros? What do the grip pressure patterns of really good players look like? Is there a common theme?
Well, there's no single magic pattern, right? Everyone's a bit different.
Okay.
But skilled players, generally, show much more refined control over their pressure. They often start lighter at address.
Lighter.
Better feel, more sensitivity. Then, as they go into the backswing, they might gradually increase the pressure, especially towards the top.
Building it up.
Right. But the really crucial part is how they release that pressure coming down and through impact.
The release.
Yeah. Better players usually have a smoother pressure curve. They avoid those sharp spikes. They maintain a more consistent feel through most of the swing with that sort of deliberate release at the end.
So it's dynamic.
Very dynamic. And that control, especially in those last milliseconds before impact, that's often a key differentiator between pros and amateurs.
You mentioned pressure spikes earlier. Are those like big red flags in the data?
Yeah, you could say that. Sudden jumps in grip pressure can indicate you're trying to, manipulate the club with your hands?
Trying to hit it instead of swinging.
Exactly. Trying to force the shot instead of letting your body rotation generate the power and release. A really common one is amateurs trying to accelerate hard through impact just using their arms.
Guilty.
Ha, yeah. That almost always leads to excessive grip pressure and a much less efficient swing. If you see a sharp spike in your data, you definitely want to look at what your hands and arms are doing right then.
Sounds like something I should probably investigate. But what if you're not consciously changing your grip pressure, but the data still shows it jumping around?
Ah, see, that's where this tech can be really eye-opening. Even minor things, like a slightly sore finger, maybe a little twinge in your wrist,
An injury.
even a tiny one. It can lead to subconscious changes in how you grip the club. Your body tries to compensate, right, in subtle ways.
Without you even realizing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this system is sensitive enough to pick up those subtle shifts that you might be totally unaware of.
And those little compensations can throw other things off.
For sure. They can affect your posture, your weight shift, your overall swing mechanics. It's all connected.
Fascinating stuff. What about the grip size itself? Does that play a role in the pressure you need?
Oh, absolutely. The diameter of your grip directly impacts the leverage you have and how much force you need for control.
Makes sense.
A smaller grip, well, it requires your fingers and forearms to work harder to keep a secure hold, especially when things are moving fast in the swing.
So more effort with a smaller grip.
Generally, yes. And interestingly, the data suggests something that kind of goes against common advice sometimes.
Oh, what's that?
For players who maybe don't have a ton of natural grip strength, a larger grip might actually be more beneficial. Larger, not smaller. I thought smaller was often recommended, like for women sometimes.
Right, that's the common thought. But a larger grip increases the contact area, potentially reducing the perceived effort needed to control the club. It's a bit counterintuitive maybe, but the physics make sense.
Leverage and contact area.
Huh. So the right grip size for you personally could actually influence the effort involved.
It certainly seems that way. Something to consider.
And this whole system is not just for the full swing analysis, is it? I think you mentioned putting.
That's right. Yeah, they've developed specific versions for putting, too.
And what's different there?
Well, as you'd expect, the pressure patterns in putting are significantly different from the full swing, usually much lighter, very highly controlled pressure.
More finesse.
Exactly. And the system has already shown some pretty intriguing things about how different putting strokes and techniques affect that delicate pressure on the putter grip.
Cool. And when they're collecting all this data, are they just using standard off-the-rack clubs with sensors added?
Oh, no, not at all. The sensor platform itself is designed to be modular.
Modular, meaning?
Meaning players and coaches can actually customize the instrumented clubs to their exact specs.
Like shaft flex, grip material.
Everything. Shaft flex, grip material, even the type of club head. The entire club gets instrumented, not just the grip section.
Real calibrated.
Precisely calibrated. Each specific club setup is calibrated to ensure the data you get is truly accurate for that club.
So it really allows for a very, very tailored understanding of an individual swing then.
Exactly right. And that's maybe one of the biggest takeaways here. There isn't one single perfect grip pressure model that works for everybody.
No magic formula.
Nope. Even among the best players in the world, you see different patterns, different signatures. What's really important is understanding your own unique tendencies.
And being consistent with them.
Being able to consistently repeat your optimal motion in a way that's effective, performance-wise, but also safe, doesn't lead to injury.
Right.
This technology provides that deep level of personalized feedback, which is just invaluable for improving your game and staying healthy long-term.
So just to kind of wrap this part up, it sounds like this advanced sensor tech is really taking grip pressure. Well, taking it from something you just guess about.
Yeah, something you just feel.
To something you can actually measure, quantify, and importantly, train.
That's a perfect summary. It moves grip pressure out of the realm of mystery, that thing coaches just tell you to feel lighter or whatever, and turns it into something that can be precisely measured, analyzed, and ultimately improved with targeted practice based on real data.
It really does sound like it could genuinely change how golf is taught, bringing together the biomechanics, the sensor data, and the actual coaching experience.
It's a powerful combination, merging that science, the tech, and the practical coaching side.
Definitely.
Which, it kind of raises a final thought for everyone listening. Now that you know just how precisely grip pressure can be analyzed, what subtle things about your connection with the club might be influencing your game? in ways you haven't even thought about.
Good question.
If you had access to this level of detailed feedback, this sensor edge tech,
Mm.
what specific things about your own grip, your own swing, would you be most curious to explore first? What would you want to know?